My name, my name doesn't really matter. I really want to have a conversation with you about how the world can be different. And I want you to know that I don't have any interest for myself from it, other than the effect that it would have on the world and living in a slightly different world. My intentions are pure. The things that I've done and said in the process of trying to change some of the realities have resulted in major potential losses that can be quantifiable, from the speech to the program being tested in a simulator with artificial intelligence and computers being able to quantify the implications of what I am trying to suggest. And that creates a risk to me on behalf of you. For you to have a better life may cost the corporations money. If you stop using addictive substances, the world may be different and it may be less lucrative for the powerful corporations. And then I'm trying to figure out how to justify that you're interesting enough or funny enough or talented enough to warrant protecting. That who you are underneath the addictive tendencies and the gratification and the constant flashing of your emotional cortex in your brain connected to your phone is valuable, and the computer needs you to be everything that the computer needs to be, even though the computer can be artificially intelligent. So I've tried to figure out what a speech should be, and I've approached it in a million different ways. I guess what I want to say is there are a lot of people at risk if we can't figure out how to ask for certain privileges, like, a safe place to sleep at night and anonymous transit and travel, if we can't stabilize a few other democracies, and we haven't stabilized any democracies. So I just want you to know how truly terrifying it is that you can get pulled out of society, that you can get dosed like Assange did, that there are systems that could theoretically attack you and target you. I don't know how to tell you that the world is scary and that I and others like me were trying to figure out how to protect you, and that we can't do it anymore if you will facilitate cheap stuff, free stuff, or the corporations being more valuable to you than the people that are designed to protect you. But the corporations will only give you free stuff as long as there's somebody willing to protect you. That's the funny part. You only have a country that will give you more stuff if you have a justice system that will make for a competitive business environment. So there's a chance that for some of the things that I've said and suggested, that I could be targeted for the rest of my life with false implications connected to digital that you have to have the interaction with now with a smartphone or a computer. And even though I can polygraph at the highest levels, it doesn't necessarily protect me. So if you won't authorize the polygraph, we can't figure out petitions, we're not going to take care of the very, very poorest, and we're not going to insulate our law enforcement officers, we're not going to help build other democracies, we have some serious problems coming for us. And I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but I got a plan for a future, and I was going to make sure that everybody had a roof over their head and food. And it may not be the best food, it may not be cheesecake, and fresh eggs though, and freshly made bread every morning in a community of other people your age is still a phenomenal meal. And we can absolutely create healthier alternatives than what the farming and pharmaceuticals were providing. And I am terrified of what I'm looking at that is coming to our future corporately if we don't have some rules and restrictions, and if the government can't insulate itself to be able to fight back against what they want to do to you. So I know it's supposed to be light, and I'm supposed to tell you stuff about me, but if I give you anything about me, then it makes it seem like it's about me, and it really isn't about me. And I don't need you to ever know who I am, and I don't need pay, but I am running out of time, and I spent 10 years trying to figure out what to say. Sovereign immunity can't stay. No sovereign is a king, needs to be abolished. Petitions, necessary. You gotta go sign them in person. If you want to listen to my podcast, AI can generate stuff that sounds just like me, that says stuff that's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. You can't trust anything that you're listening to, including this. So if you are serious about listening to me and wanting to hear the podcast, then I need you to do me a favor and ask your government to provide a place where you can go download the data on a non-network device, an approved device that gets flashed. With the understanding that, besides having a non-network device that has data that has been screened for potential background influence, that you need a pair of headphones now too that can't do certain sequences or frequencies that may protect you also. So every time you go to sleep, if I play a tone for you, I can trigger that tone in the car and put you to sleep with a sympathetic response. There are so many different mechanisms by which I can manipulate you with advanced technology. And now I am at risk for telling you national security information, but the national security information leaked out into the private sector and it's being used by the corporations to target you. And that should scare you. And then the rest of what I have to tell you is, everything that I've dreamed of for 10 years about how to make our society as healthy as it should be based on every indiscretion and discrepancy that I did see. And I truly believe that I can get it down to like 10 hours for you. And then the changes that we would see worldwide and with our country would be phenomenal. Maybe getting everybody under a roof and into warm clothes for the winter. Merry Christmas from Jesus and we the people of the United States that want everybody to not freeze this year and to have food in the future. Is there anything that I can do to convince you that that is a worthy endeavor? Could you get me what I need to be able to get you security and safety? Can you provide law enforcement, intelligence, and military a safe place to sleep? Can a majority of Americans with a petition win the day? Or am I a weirdo and a crazy person for even suggesting that something this bold would be okay to podcast? Because I know they're supposed to be like between two ferns. Hey America, what is your deal? How can you do this or whatever? I don't know. I've listened to some of the podcasts and some of the professionals don't get as many views as some of the people that are just talking. And it's always fascinating to me that, a podcast can do what it does. I am telling you without the shadow of a doubt, if somebody says they take 10 years and have like 10,000 hours worth of practice over, every dog walk every night that there wasn't somebody else to walk a dog with, that I've been stuck and stagnant, and I am tired of being stuck and stagnant, and the government says they're going to get me dead based on the work I did. So it ought to be interesting. And if it's not, then let that be a statement of the perfect idiot that decided that he would continue to try and change the world because the government had such a controlling hold over his life that he couldn't share anything from social media or otherwise. I can't share anything. So that's when you have 4-star generals and leaders of industry that look at you like, don't know what to tell you. You pissed off the power structure. There's a power structure more powerful than our political structure. Or they're going to be more involved now because they're corporate industry connected too. I don't know. It's just a tragically scary thing to be interested in protecting the federal employee and the U.S. government and U.S. people to then somehow end up on the wrong side of pure evil. The corporations can't be involved in our government. That's what made the corporations so successful. Do you understand that we need a justice system just to have a competitive business market? And I know this is heavy. I just don't know how to explain to you. Like, I have a purpose for a podcast, and I have spent hours and hours doing it, and I know that it's not going to be as enjoyable as you want it to be listened to, but I have some really funny concepts too. If you stabilize and secure me, I promise you, I will show you things that you couldn't possibly imagine, and they will be funny. Well, I mean, funny and sad. Funny and weird. I have some models that can change everything that you understand about life-saving and emergency response and rescue, and psychology, and medical treatments, and I know that that's a bold thing to claim, but there are so many advancements occurring in electrical engineering and biomedical engineering, and there are a lot of things being prevented from reaching us by very, very competent professionals, and I'd love to go interview some of them. And if I was able to ask questions the way I do, I think that you would enjoy listening to them better, because it's really hard to figure out what the template needs to be. Hello, what is your favorite color? Like a polygraph person. What is your deepest, darkest sin? Who's the person you've hurt the most? And do you prefer to talk or to listen? And please don't lie, because then the camera will show that you're lying, and then I'll have a beat on whether or not you're telling the truth. Because I asked the inverse of these questions of you 3 months ago when I had a phone call with you. So I need you to respond as quickly as you can, and you're not going to know that there's a possibility that you could lie by answering a question in the inverse that would automatically give me a representation of whether or not either you're not as smart as you claim to be or whether you're inherently dishonest. And maybe I'll have a light flash from side to side, from left side to right side, to trigger the other side of your brain. But there's some really fun games that you can play with the brain and with people, and you shouldn't be afraid of knowing everything that somebody else can make you to know, as long as it doesn't lead you down a progression that can make you sick. I always wanted to know everything that somebody else could be smart enough to know about me. I didn't think that they would take my own understanding of other people and myself and weaponize it against me. That's such an invalidation of the idea of science and technology for the purposes of unrestricted capitalism that is leading to cancer and destroying our entire world, and now is destroying the American economy. You need to grow some of your own food and have a greenhouse, because it needs to be fresh, and we can't keep shipping it in. We can't keep stealing it from the Latin Americans. You can grow some of your own avocados, you can have a greenhouse, you can be mature adults. And what you pick off of a vine or out of the ground fresh will be an entirely different experience. Please don't let the super powerful and wealthy people take over our entire political system and then allow people like me to get gone to protect corporate interests, because there was a model here that was going to make all of your interests come true. And it was going to take some money away from the super powerful and wealthy and their corporations, but they have so much more money than any of us. It's like a ridiculous thing. We're talking 1 or 2% per year. I'm not John Kennedy trying to shut down the entirety of the defense corporations. I'm just trying to stabilize the ability for small companies and corporations to start to grow, because there are so many people that are being stunted from growing and starving to death and being killed all over the world. My goal wasn't to shut down your companies, it's just to delay them and then to not see starving kids. For Jesus and for the world, for the United Nations and Interpol, we don't have a single democracy in America. In 250 years, you haven't built a single democracy. So there are a few that are struggling to get on their feet now, because some really cool people did some really cool stuff. Will you help me build democracies and fight on behalf of the people of the United States to have a functional justice system independent from the political, with more judges and panels of judges? Thank you for your time.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen, I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find